Yeah.
So
Well, that's why I think I loved your content, because my friends and I, in the business world, talk about this a lot. We talk about how anybody can put anything out on social media and they present themselves a certain way, but a majority of them are either extremely fake and they're doing it on purpose, or they're playing the fake it till you make it game and thinking that that's the way to go. But in reality, if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be talking.
100%. And that's why I have so much ammunition. I have so much fertile ground to just tell these guys that what are you even talking about? Nothing, it doesn't even make sense. And then they'll go out and rent a fancy car and they'll rent a fancy house and or for the day and they'll shoot this and they're in Dubai and they're here. I don't talk about what I have. You'll never see a content with me talking about what I had. I actually was really aggravated yesterday. We did a live, or I was actually having a meeting with my sales guy, Daniel G, who's probably one of the best sales guys around. And he's a personal friend, and we're building a platform together, he and I. And somebody asked me what I was wearing on my wrist. So I think I said in the live, because I've been doing these lives lately. I think I said it's a Timex, and you get people that they just want to get into your business, and I'm a private guy.
Yeah, there's different personalities out there. Some people are really open, some people are more private. The thing that I don't like is when people give advice and they can't back the advice up. And so I've got some that I've pulled up from some of your content that I wanted to talk to you about and just ask you those same questions of why you
Sure.
thought the way
Yeah,
you thought on those. And so we'll pull those up here in a second.
yeah. I actually like my friend Grant Cardone. I just don't like what he does. Um,
What is that? What does he do? When you say he doesn't like, you don't like what he does, what does that mean?
so Grant has a business model. He's amazing at raising money. He's probably the number one social media syndicator there is in the country, maybe in the world. And he uses the a rule and reg that President Obama created under the Jobs Act. It's called Regulation A, and under Regulation A, you can do a tier one or a tier two, and you can raise up to 75 million from Joe anybody, and that person could make $30,000. They can invest 10% of their gross earnings with Grant without any qualification. And Grant is really good at raising money. He raises money like it's going out of style. He buys quality real estate, don't get me wrong. He doesn't buy it at the best price, and he doesn't buy it at the best return or the capitalization value, but he buys quality stuff. What he then does is he does what's called front run. He buys it with his own money and then he sells it into his deal for a spread. And this guy, I think his name is Aaron, he's exposed that and he's gone through deal after deal that Grant does. Now, what Grant's doing is totally legal, and he may be getting paid that spread because he's finding these assets, he's guaranteeing the debt, he's doing all these things, but I don't know the machinations of his deals inside and out. But in the olden days, that's what syndicators did. Today, you need to give value. Now, I don't syndicate, so I like to buy just for my own account, and we only buy things that are distressed because I philosophically can't pay retail for anything, and especially when the market's coming unglued. It's literally coming unglued, but it's very happening very slowly and quietly. So in Texas, in Houston's county, I believe I think Houston's Harris County. About 8 months ago, the foreclosure list was maybe 2 or 3 pages. Now it's 35 pages. And all these guys that took bridge money
Mm-hmm.
that couldn't resyndicate now have to put equity into the deal to refinance them because their bridges came due. They're only 36-month loans, and they're losing them. Guys are losing 3, 4, 5,000 units at a time. They're defaulting all over the place. There's a guy named Jay Gacciavelli. I think he fled the country. Apple's Way Investment. I think he left. And there's probably 200 of these guys.
Mm. Why
And
do you
they
think
don't,
that is? Why did they get into that like that? Why did they get in that position?
they put themselves in a position because they wanted to force growth. They had to grow. And in the multifamily space, economies of scale does work, but you cannot buy this subpar product because the resident retention is almost impossible.
Mm.
And then you have turnover. Multifamily is a very transient business.
So what you're saying though is that they bought something that was a subpar product. They tried to increase the rents or without remodeling.
Well, no, they tried to remodel. They
They
tried to
tried to
increase
remodel.
the rents, forcing the appreciation,
Yep.
but they were undercapitalized, and they didn't have the expertise to run these deals. And you know how I know that this doesn't work? Because I fucking did it myself when I was in the beginning. And I was lucky enough to be in these markets that were just ascending. I was literally on my ass in 92 when Hurricane Andrew hit here in South Florida. And we call him St. Andrew. He literally saved my ass.
Mm.
And I was able to take that, buy a bunch of deals, and then go to other places and build a big portfolio. You don't have to be smart in real estate. You just have to be lucky.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Be in the right place at the right time with the right deal.
Absolutely. The greatest condo developer here in South Florida is a guy named George Perez. His company was Related. So I believe he's Argentinian and Cuban. Okay. And I've done business with him before, and he is a mensch. If you know what Yiddish means, a gentleman, a mensch. Okay. And I will tell you that he changed the scope of South Florida. He changed the development, and his partners they're not partners anymore. The guy that owns the Dolphins, Steve Ross, who did Hudson Yards in New York, who's one of the biggest developers in the world. George was down here. He brought George into the affordable business, which is the LIHTC, low income housing tax credit business. And George built a big portfolio, and then he started doing condominiums. And George is brilliant. And there's a lot of guys like George, like the David Martins or the Ugo Columbos or the BH2 or the BH3, all these guys down here that are great at what they do, but they have one key ingredient, or PMG. They have one key ingredient. They have an endless supply of capital.
Yeah.
They can't,
So they even if they did make a mistake, they can buy themselves out of it, or they can.
That's exactly what they do. They
Right.
do. Here's the old saying. Okay. You owe a bank $10 million, you're a borrower. You owe them $100 million, you're a partner.
Yep.
And I will tell you that I've been in that position, and they're so prickly. They don't want to upset you, even though you know that you have them over a barrel, and they should be taking your properties back, but they're like, well, what do you need? What's going to maintain your lifestyle? What's going to keep you united front? How do we make sure that, the outside perception doesn't know what's going? I mean, it's a rigged game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Trump would say if you're going to go broke,
DJT
take the
says
bank
it
with
all the
you.
time. Yeah. Yeah. Another great developer. Forget the fact that people don't like him for the crazy stuff he does. I think the country was in a better place. I think we were a secure country. I can't agree with the way they treat Israel. This administration, it's horrible. So,
All
but
right. So
yeah,
let me
obviously
jump into. So I looked at your Instagram. I went back to the first post you did. The first post you did, you were giving out free Chick-fil-A sandwiches to
yes,
homeless.
yep,
So
yep.
tell me about that post first, and then we'll get into, because you've been posting about a year, and some of the content I really, really like. Tell me a little
Well,
bit.
you know, I was actually had some kids staying with me, the kids that gave out the Chick-fil-A sandwiches. and they were staying with me for the weekend, and it was a cloudy Sunday, and I said, what are you guys doing today? And they're like, oh, we're going to go have some beers, we're going to go do this, we're going to do that. I said, no, whatever you're going to spend in beers, okay, we're going to go get some food, we're going to go downtown, and we're going to feed some people, we're going to get some water. Okay. And I said, the only thing I asked that you do, because they weren't supposed to film it, but they actually did. The only thing that I asked that you do, each time you give somebody something, ask their name and shake their hands and look them in the eyes, because we're one step away from where they are.
Mm.
And these kids did this, and we do that all the time, whether it's bagels or whether it's double quarter pounders with cheese. And I said, we're not going to film any more of this crap. We're just going to just give, real altruism is done anonymously.
Hmm.
It's the only
I
way to do
totally, I totally agree with that.
it.
Because the
So,
only person that really should know is you. My daughter and I one time that came to fruition. She was really young, but there was snow had hit in Missouri. You don't deal with that a whole lot, but there's a couple up the street and they can't get out and shovel their driveway. And so after we got done with ours, I said, let's go shovel theirs. And my daughter, being as young as she was like, why? Like, because they need it. It'll help them shovel their driveway. And she says, "Are we going to tell them?" It's like, absolutely not. The joy of them coming out and finding it and it's just done is already there. I'm happy with that. And I totally agree with that. So I love that you said that. And tell me a little bit more about the shake their hand, look them in the eyes, and ask them their name.
you know, it's easy to give somebody some food, but shaking somebody shaking them in their hand, okay, and looking them in the eyes, telling them your name, asking them their name, is that normal human interaction. And what's happened is in society with these damn cell phones, they've lost connection with the human being. And we need to get back to the simple basics of being kind to one another. Because when I was a kid, I'm 64. You're how old?
42.
42. Okay. Well, we're 2 decades and so apart. When somebody in the neighborhood that I grew up in, when people didn't have something or somebody was going through a rough time, everybody in the neighborhood went and brought them food, brought them groceries. Everybody's house was open. We were all outside. We never worried about, you know, uh, people grabbing the kids or any of this stuff. We didn't worry about this. We were always treating each other with dignity and respect, and that's what you have to do. We don't do enough simple things. We don't hold the door. We don't smile at people. Did you ever read there was a book, I can't remember the name of it, but I read it a long time ago, about people who committed suicide off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. And there was a guy that survived, and he broke everything: his pelvis, his spleen, his legs, his hips, his back. And when they went to his apartment, they found a note, a suicide note. And the note said, if one person smiles at me or says hi to me, because you can't drive onto the Golden Gate Bridge and stop, you have to walk out onto it. He said, I'm going to reassess what I'm going to do. And that simple interaction, for 1 second, holding the damn door or saying good morning or asking somebody how their freaking day is, instead of looking at your damn phone, which I do. I like to walk a lot. Mm. And I see all these people walking and they're like ready to walk into me and they're on their phone. I don't get it anymore.
So one of the things I work with on the people that I work consulting wise is I call it the smile test. It's just walking down the street and it's smiling at people and seeing what their reaction. And almost every time the reaction is the person smiles back, shoulders come up, their posture improves. And I would recommend anybody listening to this go do that. Just go take a walk and have a smile test and just watch people's reaction. You'd be surprised how a simple smile can change their day. And if you want to take it a step further, not only do the smile, but then give them a simple compliment. Hey, nice scarf, cool shoes, your hair looks nice.
I love it. I love it.
It changes people's perspective in their lives. And not only that, pay attention to how you feel, because you feel better too when you do that.
It's so simple to put out good. Okay.
Why do you
It's
think
just
we've lost that? Why do you think, what changed? Why do you think we've lost that as far as a culture?
social media,
Mm,
the now generation,
mm.
you know. So I have a lot of young kids that work for me, and they're all ADHD. They're very smart, but they have a very hard time staying focused.
I read a study not too long ago because being in the medical, I'm always about studies. Talked about our attention span as a society is now around the attention span of a goldfish. About 3 to 5 seconds. You've got 3 to 5 seconds to catch someone's attention, or they're gone, and that's about the same as a goldfish. Slightly worse, actually. Um, do you see that? Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been. I'm not so great with technology, but I have been looking at some of the metrics of some of the videos and so forth. 8 seconds.
Hmm.
The average watch is 8 seconds.
Yeah. Eight
How do
seconds.
you learn anything in 8 seconds?
But you said
How
it
do
yourself. The now generation. It's all about now. How can I make money now? How can I get rich now? How can I lose weight now? How can I build a business now? Everything's now. When in reality, if you had to say, somebody started a business, when would you say, for the how much time should they expect before that business is really viable and you know something they can exit out of potentially?
it all depends. Every sector is different.
Yeah.
Um, you have, like in my sector in the real estate space, what concepts that and strategies that we had back in the early 80s, that the godfather of subject to or creative financing, his name is Robert G. Allen, who I'm actually writing a book with right now. And the book is all about the prisons that we live in and how to get
Mm.
out. And Bob and I are always talking about this, and all of his strategies still work today. And all these other guys that actually are pretty good at this, they created subject to, which is exactly what Bob Allen created. It's just, it's a rider on a contract. Subject to is just a rider on a contract, and
Sure.
they came up with this word subject to. Okay,
Sub two.
flip.
Yeah, you
the,
you hear it a
the
lot. Sub
wholesaling
two in the real
business.
estate space.
The wholesaling business was the flipping business, but they created the wholesaling business. We're going to wholesale these things out. Okay, they just repackage it, and then they create some kind of package. They create some kind of stack. They create some kind of value proposition, and they make a course and they sell it. So
It's interesting because I say that stuff a lot. The principles in life never really change.
no,
The wrapping paper is what changes. People wrap it in something different, a different perspective, way to explain it, a different story, but the principles are the same.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
I lo-
we we charge a lot of money for our course, ton. It's the
There's nothing
cost
wrong
of
with that.
it's the cost of 3 Starbucks coffees, $27. You can opt in one day, you can learn everything, and opt out the next day. But we don't have a high, we have maybe have an 8% cancellation rate, and everything we're doing since we put it up in the second week of June is all organic, and that's what we want in our community. But we want our community to be able to lean on each other, and that's what we're trying to do. So
That's awesome because you're building for stability, for long term,
yeah,
for getting results for people. So let's talk about your social media posts though, because that's what caught my eye.
yeah,
You know, what gave you the idea? And by the way, I think your course is on school. Is that correct?
it is. Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
it's on school.
Yeah.
Um,
You'd think they'd give me a T-shirt. I had to spend $25
I
for.
know, no, you got yeah, buy your t-shirt.
I know.
So everybody, you can look up his information on school. It's Mark Shapiro, and we'll have links also down below in the show notes. But you started posting content, and you're listening to some of my favorite people, or in what they say, people that I've followed for a long time. and then you're making comments about what they said. And sometimes you agree. Most of the time you're like, why you got to say that? One of the most famous ones that came out more recently was, like you said, your friend Grant Cardone. He says, if somebody's making less, if a man is making less than $400,000 a year, he should be ashamed of himself. And you gave your perspective on that. I just wanted to dive into that one a little bit more because there's a lot of people out there that a 400 grand a year, they can't even imagine that. They can't even think of it. They're so far withdrawn from it. And I know what his point is, but tell me your perspective, because I think your perspective on the video was really important too.
So think about all the people, what's shaping our society today? Our teachers, the most undervalued, underpaid profession in this country. Okay. And what do they get? What do they make? Teachers making 100, 90, 80, 120.
Well, in the Midwest, they're making 36 to 46.
30, 30. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. All right. Could you imagine what it would be like for them to be making 10 times that money? Yes, you have to pay taxes on it. Yes, you have to plan for it. Okay. But you have those people. I know I said the Sizzler because I always like joking with my guys. They're like, let's go get a steak. I'm like, all right, we're going to Ponderosa or Sizzler. Those places don't exist anymore. But it's just it's a place you could get a steak for $9. All right. Mm-hmm. And to me, a steak is a steak. But when you look at what we pay the police, what we pay the government employees, what we pay a senator, state or federal senator, a rep, what they get paid, they don't get paid $400,000. What is it? What does a resident get paid? A new resident doesn't get paid that. What is a dentist? What is a dental hygienist? What does a fireman get paid? What is a civil engineer that is creating traffic patterns? What about the guy that's the air traffic controller? What about all the guys that are in the service that are protecting our fucking asses? Okay. So I think when Grant said that, his motivation was to push people into his fund. I think everything Grant does is to push people into his fund. That's my perspective, because Grant sells sales training. He sells retreats on boats in at Cabo. Okay. And then he has this big extravaganza where he has Floyd and he has Arnold and he has DJT, which he pays them either 100 or 250 to come and speak for 45 minutes and pays their entourage. Okay. And that's a whole big thing for him, because what he's doing is he gets people in a room and then he will upsell them. Okay. He's probably not as famous as the upsell that Tony Robbins does, because Tony Robbins doesn't let you leave the room until you buy one of these high ticket programs. But Grant's whole goal is to make as much money as he can to buy more real estate and reach more people. Okay. Now, is Grant doing something that's nefarious or sinister? No. And is Grant treating people? I don't really, I know a lot of people that have worked for him that have left, that don't see eye to eye with him. In the times when I've interacted with him, he has been nothing but a gentleman. And I actually asked him to do a deal with me in California, and he loved the deal. And he's like, Mark, it just doesn't fit within my parameters, and I respect that, because it's a deal was a grand slam home run. But when you belittle somebody that is the essence of the fabric of this country, okay, and you do it for personal gain, that's wrong. And that's why I took that position. I could have said, okay, yeah, get off your ass. You should be making $500,000. You should be making $750,000.
Well, I think the idea behind it was to get people to realize, to do the math of where they're currently at, because I think there's a big financial problem in our country of people not actually doing the math and figuring out what their lifestyle is costing them. That's why I think there's, an average of $18,000, $19,000 of credit card debt per family. There's for every dollar we make, we spend $1.10. The average individual that doesn't have $400 in their bank account. It's because we have this buy now mentality in our country, and we really can't support it with the average salary. But if people would take their salary and just figure out to do the math on, this is how much you're paying in taxes, this is how much you should pay yourself, and then based on the rest of that, that's how much you should live on. Saying it a different way would be a lot less polarizing, and we probably wouldn't be talking about it. That's probably what his position was on it. But I agree. Grant is a very good salesperson and he wants to sell. He wants to get people to buy his stuff. And whatever
Yep.
that takes is whatever it takes. What I would say to that for everybody listening to this is really pay attention to your finances. Pay attention. Is the money you're making going to be able to support your lifestyle with where you live? Most people can't answer that because they don't pay attention to their finances. And I know because I work with a lot of business owners, consultants, or consulting them, and they have no idea where their money's actually at and where it's going. So they don't know if they're able to support it and how long. So that's what I would say. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that I do when somebody does actually get to me and get me on the phone, and I usually have 2 or 3 phone calls that my team will select guys that I'll talk to that want to get into the business or own, 4 or 5 properties and so forth. The first thing I ask them is, do you have 6 months cash reserve set aside for you and your family? Do you own a house? Have you used that house to buy another property? Don't. Use that house to make memories in. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. You do not have to have money that badly. The money will come. Just do the right thing. It does come. Okay. And there are so many ways to buy things with little or nothing.
Mm.
I mean, I push a lot. I send a lot of people to St. Louis. I had somebody challenge me on a thing I was speaking, an event I was speaking at, and they challenged me to buy a property. So I actually did it right online, and we filmed it, and it was actually pretty easy. And it was in St. Louis. It was a 2-family, and the guy that challenged me, I said, "Look, if you can't get the money, I'll give you a mortgage for it, and you're going to pay me 8%." And he's like, "No, no, no, I qualify." I said, "Okay." So I handed it off to him, and he makes about $600 a month from it, and he's not having any issues. I don't know why people. I mean, obviously, I've done the research. In St. Louis, there's a higher crime area. There's 2 different sides, but
That's
I
every
mean,
city.
yeah, every damn city, and it's still for me. And they're not anymore, but they were the greatest show on turf. So I was a big Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk fan. I mean, uh, so I was a Cardinals fan too. So
Oh yeah,
actually
was a
I'm
Cardinals
actually a
fan. What
Vikings
happened?
fan, but I love the Cardinals. So
Yeah.
good old Terry
Uh,
Metcalf, Jim
oh
Hart.
yeah,
Yep.
Gary, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever done? You should do a Cardinals. I don't know if you play baseball. Do you play baseball, or you just, or did
I
you?
I actually, believe it or not, I was a Division II tailback in college.
Oh, nice.
So I was small and a lot heavier, and I'm actually still fast. I don't know why you don't lose your speed, because I just raced one of the kids. I'll call him one of my kids. He just went into the Israeli army, and we did actually were working out together before he went in, and we did legs, and he said, I want to race you in a 40. I said, I'll smoke you, and I did. And I actually called him yesterday to see how he was doing. Just tell him to be careful because of that craziness that happened the other day with those kids.
Are
So
you do you act do you work out quite a bit? I mean, do you stay
very,
active?
yep,
Good.
yeah,
How
very active.
important is that to somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s?
Biggest ritual that you can have:
Mm.
getting up early, eating right, working out, having a routine. Life is about a routine, and I learned that from my father. And I will tell you, if you want to be successful, you got to get up before the sun comes up. It's a
Mm.
great time where you can think and you can actually listen to the world because it's quiet, and your brain works the best when you first wake up. Your cognitive powers are actually the best.
Yep.
And I don't make decisions after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I wouldn't have done this unless my assistant had scheduled it. Because you're my last of the day. I just had a nice afternoon cup of coffee with some sweet creamer in it, and I'm gonna actually, if I was not feeling, because I haven't been feeling that well because I was sick, I would actually go play tennis, and it's probably 95 out,
That's
and
great.
I love that.
So there's really three sections of people that I talk to the most. There's the up and comers, 20s, early 30s. Um, what would you recommend for them based on your experience? Uh, what should they be focused on paying attention to right now for long-term success?
So first of all, the number one thing that I think young kids forget is that relationships to them are very disposable.
Mm,
If they're not getting what they think they should be getting out of them, they're so fast to go on to the next thing. What they need to do is they actually need to realize that when you have someone that you're friends with, that you're close with, that lives your life, that lives your story, you want to stick around with them. And I will tell you, I had this one friend. I lost him last year. He just one day wasn't feeling well, and he called me the next day. He says, "I have stage 4 bile duct and pancreatic cancer, and I don't have a long time to live. Would you help me get my affair in order?" And I said, "Have you talked to your brother?" He goes, "Yeah." He wanted you to come. And 4 months he was gone. And he was the greatest guy that people didn't know,
mm.
because he did all these things for people anonymously, went out of his way, did the same thing. He loved to give people turkey and chickens and things like that. He would just put groceries on your doorstep. People didn't know where it came from. This is what this guy did. Couldn't make your car payment. He would figure out who you owed it to, and he would make your car payment. I don't even know how he did this stuff. Just a very quiet guy. He wore the same ripped shorts and flip flops to work every day, and every pocket was full of cash. And he left a lot of money to his kids, and he was a good guy. And young people today don't realize how disposable they think things are. They need to really cherish those relationships, truly.
I
So that
totally,
person in
I,
their 20s who's building a business, when they're building the business, make sure the people that you're collaborating with, you're taking care of them. You're doing good things with them. So
be selfless as opposed to selfish.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Take care of
Yeah.
the relationships. All right. So what about the middle age 30 to 35 to 50 ish? What would you say to somebody in that section?
If you're not happy with where you're at, it's time to make a change.
Mm,
And you know what? You could be 70 years old and make a change. In the Torah, we have what's called tshuva, which means to return to God, return to his ways. You could be the most blasphemous person in the whole wide world, and 5 minutes before you pass, ask for forgiveness. God will forgive you, and we call it the world to come. You'll go to heaven. So what people forget is they should do it way before, because they're going to live a better life.
mm.
You're going to live that better, kinder, gentle life. Okay. You don't have to be a hammer. Okay. I mean, I like to say everything to me is a nail, but you don't have to be a hammer.
That's awesome.
I think I earned that. That's all.
Yeah. And then what about somebody that's in that 50 to 70-year-old range?
If you have already achieved it, give back.
Mm,
Show somebody, take somebody under your wing, make a difference in their life.
that's awesome. I just wrote those down because I think that's so true. Well, Mark, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Go play some tennis, go do something, enjoy yourself, get well. Really great insight. Love the conversation, and really appreciate you, like I said, sharing that with with us. And I totally agree with you. Young, middle, old, relationships matter. If you're not happy, make a change and give back. And I can't wait till that book comes out with Bob, you and Bob. I will definitely be purchasing that book for sure.
I will send you one for free. So,
Really
and
appreciate that.
I hope my content is resonating. Um,
I
it
believe it
does.
is.
You know what? It's funny because I am getting people are reaching out to me from all over the place. I can't begin to tell you. I don't even know who some of these people are. And my young kids are like, Mark, do you know who this is? I had this one guy, he's a big celebrity. He was in town on a Friday night and he's like, I want you to come to my hotel. I'm staying at the Fontainebleau. I'll have some dinner. We'll sit and we'll talk, you know. And they all these guys, he's a music guy. I want to chop it up with you. And I said to him, well, one, I don't drive on Friday night because it's Shabbos. And two, my phone is off and I'm going to have to do it on a Sunday. And he's like, well, I'm not going to be here. And I'm like, well, then we'll do it the next time you come into town. And I think he respected the fact that I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to break my, my tradition and what I believe in, my beliefs. I'm not going to do that. I've done it before. I'm not going to do it at this age. No way.
Getting to the season of no in your life is something everybody I think needs to get to, where you can comfortably know who you are, what you're about, what's most important, and be able to say no to things that you would maybe think are an opportunity, but it doesn't match with who you are and it's not going to, be part of your life as seamlessly as it should be. Then you should obviously say no. I think that's a problem that a lot of people do. They say yes to too many things. I know I've been there. I did that for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of my favorite movies Jim Carrey did was, I think, was he just said yes to everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love him. He's one of these guys that just him, Robin Williams. I don't know if you remember a comedian named Jonathan Winters.
No, I don't.
I think he kind of trained Robin Williams. These guys they're just brilliant. I mean, literally. I mean, Jim Carrey is brilliant. Robin Williams was brilliant on such a level. If you can make another person laugh, think about what you're doing for another person.
Yeah.
Or another person, make them cry, for in something that you write or something the way you sing. Or, we do have a tremendous amount of talent out there. They've just kind of gone in a different direction. So we have to wrangle them back in. So,
Okay.
All right, Doc.
All right,
God bless
everybody. Let me do an intro and an outro real quick, if that's all right. Okay, so just stand there, look pretty, and that way we can cut it in. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Fix Your BS, where BS stands for belief systems. We talk about relationships, business, health, faith, or belief, and we talk about money. Today, we got Mark Shapiro. He is a real estate investor. He's sold over $1 billion of real estate, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, guy. Thank you so much, Doc. I tell you, thank you for letting me be here. Would you play the guitar for a moment?
Yeah, man.
Let's hear it. Stairway to Heaven. I want to hear Stairway to Heaven.
I wish I knew how to play Stairway to Heaven, but
I always thought that's the first song everybody learns.
Well, what's funny about that is you do learn that really early, and then you don't play it anymore because nobody ever requests it.
Got it. Yeah, nobody knows. It's Pink Floyd, right? Or Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin. Nobody even knows who they are. Is that a Martin?
This one?
Yeah.
Nope. This one isn't. This one is a Paul Reed Smith.
Nice.
I have a Martin at home and a Taylor and stuff. But
I had a partner. His name was William Foster. He passed away. He was 20 years older than me. And in 1990, he taught me how to buy from the RTC. He took me out to Houston, and we bought about 3,000 apartments in the course of 2 months. And I didn't have the money to buy them. He showed me how to get them to finance them right from the RTC office. That's awesome. He was the most amazing guy. He was like 6'6". He had the worst toupee, but he loved to play. And every birthday, I would get him something special. And the guitar he loved the most was the Martin.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Martins are beautiful. I love so this one's got a lacquer finish to it. And I'm a big fan of the ones that don't have a lacquer finish because they vibrate more. And I think I love playing guitar so much. So the vibration, it vibrates into your chest when you play it. So it just has this resonance with me. And it's funny because the key of A, it's like all the songs I really, really love tend to be in the key of A. Kind of interesting, but I would sing for you too. I spent a lot of time at Nashville this weekend with my wife and daughter. We went to a Kid Rock concert thing. It wasn't Kid Rock, but it was a band at his bar. Anyway, we had a good time. You recognize that, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Nashville's a fun place.
You been there a lot?
Yeah. You know what I noticed when I would go to Nashville for business at 5 o'clock, everybody left work.
Really?
In the offices, yeah, everybody left work.
What do you say about that now? Like what was your work ethic? Was it go until the job's done?
Go until it's done. Yeah, there's either done or not done. No.
I think that's a common thing nowadays, though, is people tend to, well, 5 o'clock, I'm done. Work-life balance.
No. Look, that's a toughie. That's really a toughie. You know, with young kids, it's not easy.
That's a game that you have to play on your own. What makes the most sense? I think it has a lot to do with communication with your spouse. I think communication with spouses is something that doesn't happen enough between their partners. My wife and I have this statement: if you aren't on the same page, then show them your page. You know, just show them, meaning communicate. Hey, here's where I'm at. Build your dream together. Don't build it separately and then hope it comes together. I think that's why a lot of people get divorced after they're about 25 years, because their kids are out of the house and they're like, I don't even know who you are. We didn't work on our relationship for 18, 19, 20 years. And so I'm this person over here. I've built my life and you've built yours, and let's just go our separate ways. And my wife and I are about to celebrate 20 years. And so,
Miles, congratulations.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's worth it, I think. So
It's
yeah,
totally worth it.
So yeah.
All right, I'm gonna jet.
Yes, sir.
And tell your daughter to have lots of fun.
She will, man.
When in doubt, ever call you.
Yeah, we have great communication, luckily. So I appreciate you. Would love to stay in touch in the future if you would like to do that. You know, my assistant will be in touch and we can do that. But I really love some of your points, and I think it's going to go a long way. Keep it up on the social media. You really are doing a good job. I love the counterpoints that you make. I really kind of call it the real side of the internet. Like that doesn't, it doesn't really make sense in the reality of the world of what this guy's saying. So I just love your takes on it. So if I'm in South Florida, I'll hit you up and say hi.
Call me, because the Marlins is the best ticket in town.
Okay. I don't know if I have your number. Did you guys type it in here into the?
I don't know if he did. I'll give it to you. If you take it off, don't.
Yeah, I won't give it out to anybody.
305.
Oh, hold on.